bring back up to the stage the founder and president of the Genuine Networking Association. He's also the one to blame for the long title. But let's all give it up for Elias Melas!
And I love the microphone. Okay, so now it's time for our featured speaker. And who knows what our tradition here at the GNA is? Oh, Michelle's already getting up. But she knows. So our tradition here is that we make our speaker go all the way to the back and make that grand entrance. So Michelle, I'm not to send you there. You look, she's already going there. Eric, you're not even taking out the camera.
Have we ever figured out what the zip code is back there yet?
It's probably the same thing as on the RSVP. Anyway, so I first met Michelle Sugiyama at the San Jose Chamber of Commerce. You remember that, Michelle? That's where the networking started for myself, probably with her also as well. And we did that for a little while. About a year after we started talking, we set up a one-on-one. I said, Michelle, would you like to have a one-on-one? She's like, yeah, let's meet and have a one-on-one. We were both really busy, but we made time for that. We got to know each other, and then further on down the road, we were running this group back then called Trusted Business Associates. It was a monthly leads and referral group, the only thing we had going on long before the GNA came out, and she became a member of that. We got to know her further, and really got to like her. So, like one day, we have to have you do a presentation on your business, because it's awesome. So that I don't butcher this, I'm going to read my notes off the script here. So today Michelle will give a very entertaining and interactive presentation about quick, healthy, and delicious eats to stay sharp and energized. Small business owners are constantly working, wearing many different hats, and thinking about 100 different things. It is important they keep themselves healthy and energized to stay on top of their game. Chef Michelle from Mindful Eating will recommend and demo some quick, healthy, and delicious fare you can easily incorporate into your busy life. You'll love the tasty treats and time-saving tips. So on that note, I'd like to know who wants to rise to your feet. Please rise to your feet and give a big warm GNA welcome to Michelle Sugiyama!
Thank you, Elias.
You're welcome.
It's so good to be here today. I'm so happy that you all have come to see me present. And it wasn't the food that draws you. I hope not. Ron, love your hat.
Thank you.
As a small business owner, I know that's not the only one you wear, is it?
You're right.
You wear tons of different hats, and I bet so do you, correct? Absolutely. And as small business owners, we need to stay healthy, because what happens if we don't stay healthy?
No business.
We will lose a lot of business. And we need to stay energized, keep us on top of our game, correct? So today, I hope that you're going to learn some quick tips, tricks, that you can incorporate into your everyday life. And you can incorporate what I'm going to talk about immediately. I have slides, but unfortunately it's a little bright out here, so some of you might not be able to see it. But I am going to show them, because I think a few of you in the front will be able to. Now, can you see that picture? Yes?
Nope.
No. Well, if you can't see it, or for those who can, does anybody recognize this guy? No, really hard. Jack LaLanne. Do you call Jack LaLanne?
Oh,
Jack LaLanne. Well, Jack lived to be a ripe old age of 96. Now, Jack was a professed sugarholic and junk food junkie until he was 15. He changed his ways because he saw somebody speak about how to live in it. And that gave him the energy and the motivation to start being more healthy. So LaLanne really blamed a lot of health problems because of overly processed food. And he really believed that you are what you eat. How many of you believe that? All right. So today, I'm going to talk about a lot of the things that you see on the spreadsheet. Some really quick and healthy meals that can get you in the kitchen and then back out as soon as possible. Because really, in order to stay healthy, you've got to get back in your kitchen because that's going to allow you to take control of your own health, right? You're not going to be victims of food that somebody else prepared. Fast food restaurants and things like that that are putting a lot of saturated fats or sugars in your food. So also, it's very important to plan and shop wiser. Do you know what the most healthiest part of the grocery store is?
Produce.
It's really the things in the outer aisles of the grocery store. Once you start going in the aisles, there's a lot of what? Processed foods. Exactly. So try and do a lot of your shopping on the outer aisles. And isn't it almost similar? You ever look at the ads from the grocery stores? Typically, what's on the front page and the back page? It's more the fresh foods, right? And on the inside, there's more of the advertisements for the cookies and cakes and things like that. So, yeah, yummy stuff. Make healthier choices at restaurants. It's really hard to do that at buffets, isn't it? Yeah. So one of the tricks that worked for me is that before I even pick up a plate and get in line, I walk around all the tables. And I look to see exactly what I want to eat. And I make sure that I don't fill my plate right away, sit down, and then what? Get right back up and go back to some of the tables that I've missed. So try and do that when you're at buffets. Respect your body. Quit filling it up with junk. Right? So stay away from a lot of the refined white sugars, white bread, white rice, and a high fructose corn syrup. Do a lot of label reading. It's a good idea to read those labels while you're grocery shopping. And then don't go to the grocery store when you are super allergic to things. I love quotes, and I know a couple of people out in the audience like quotes, like Joss. Yes. So one quote that I really liked was the idea is to die young as late as possible. You like that quote?
Yes.
I think it's an awesome quote. So technology is allowing us to live longer, but is our quality of life at old age as good as we want it to be? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I was able in St. Paul, Minnesota to watch Dr. Weil speak. Does anybody know Dr. Weil? He is probably the father of natural health and nutrition. He's got a gray, bushy beard, bald head. And so one of the things that really struck me was he said, what we're striving for is decreased or depressed morbidity, which means you want to live a really long, healthy life, and then when it's time to go, you get sick for maybe just a little while, and then you pass away. And that's exactly what my grandmother did. My grandmother lived to be 101 years old.
Wow.
Yes. She was never hospitalized until the very end, and she was only hospitalized for not even a week. So that's my goal. It's my goal, to live a long, healthy life, and then just kind of go quick. Hopefully in my sleep. Breakfast. Who ate breakfast today? Majority, 60% maybe. Well, I know you've heard it 1,000 times before, but breakfast truly is the most important meal of the day. And on the screen, which you can't see, it says, is there anything wrong with this breakfast? And what I have is cereal with bananas, split skim milk, toast and jam, coffee with a little bit of sugar, and some orange juice. You think there's anything wrong with that breakfast? What's wrong with that breakfast?
For me,
It's all carbohydrate.
it's all too much sugar, and it goes into, it raises your insulin.
A lot of carbs, right? A lot of carbs. So you're gonna get that quick energy, because that's what carbs do, but then you're gonna burn out.
Crash.
Crash, exactly. So what you want to include in a healthy breakfast is good quality protein and good quality fat. So let's just start with breakfast column. I met my stepdaughter, who's now 18, when she was 5 and a half. And my stepdaughter was your typical carbohydrate kid. You know what I'm talking about? Anybody have one of those? She loved plain white bagels, spaghetti noodles with no sauce, pizza, and all the sugary cereals you can imagine. So it was really hard for me to get her to eat healthy. Now, in my house, we use natural peanut butter. She hated natural peanut butter. And why do you think she hated natural peanut butter? Didn't have sugar, exactly. So one thing that I did, which she loved, was I would take a very ripe banana and I would mash it up with my natural peanut butter. And I called it peanut butter fluff. A lot more healthier than marshmallow fluff, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yep.
But she loved it because the natural sweetness of the banana helped sweeten the natural peanut butter. So if you have children, young children, or if you have grandchildren, try that, see if they like it. Now, as she grew older, one thing that she discovered on her own was she would take a tortilla, spread it with peanut butter, put a banana on top, and then roll it up. Peanut butter banana burrito. Can you say that 5 times?
Peanut butter every.
Now, how easy is that for you to do that? So quick, so easy. You can wrap it up in a napkin or saran wrap and walk out the door with it. Now, why do you think that I am a big proponent of nuts?
Protein.
Anybody know?
Protein.
Good source of protein,
Source of vitamins.
good source of quality fat and fiber. Now, nuts have monounsaturated fat. That is the good fat. That is the fat that is going to lower your bad cholesterol, your LDL. Some say it actually increases your HDL, or your good cholesterol. It helps to normalize your blood sugar, and it also helps to lower the glycemic index of other foods.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So try to eat some nuts every day. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, oatmeal. Who loves oatmeal? Love oatmeal. I eat oatmeal about 4 times a week. One of the favorite things that I like to add to my oatmeal is dried blueberries. Because you can get dried blueberries year-round. You can get fresh blueberries year-round too, but it's also better to eat fruits when they're in season. Cinnamon. Cinnamon is a heart-healthy spice. Does anybody know that? Yeah. Great spice. Ground flax seeds, because of the omega-3s. Good for heart health and brain health. All right? And my husband likes to put a touch of agave nectar in there. Is anybody familiar with agave? So when I first started doing these seminars, there was only one store that carried agave nectar. And now you can buy it anywhere. You can buy it at Costco. And what's good about agave nectar is that it has a very low glycemic index. So that means it's not going to spike your blood sugar like white sugar or honey. So give agave nectar a chance. And you can also use that for baking. And it's actually slightly sweeter than sugar. You can even put it on pancakes. So does anybody like steel-cut oats? I love steel-cut oats, but what I hate about it is it takes a long time to cook. You guys, okay, familiar with that? So try this. Try putting half to 1 cup of steel cut oats in a container, a glass container, let's say, and putting some water in there, and then just let it hydrate in your refrigerator. And that way, in the morning, you can take it out and then cook it however you like to cook it, in the microwave or on the stove, and it's going to take a lot less time for you to get those steel cut oats ready in the morning. So cereal, everybody probably eats cereal, not everybody, but maybe a majority of people. I do have some cereals, some pictures of cereals that I prefer, but you probably can't see those, so I won't show those. And it's really also important to choose the correct kind of bread. So on the spreadsheet, I have 2 asterisks by toast. Is anybody familiar with Ezekiel bread? Very healthy Ezekiel bread. It uses sprouted grains. What's so great about grains when they sprout is that they're full of energy and nutrients. And so they're using these sprouts to create that bread. And it's also important to look at the label. It should say 100% whole wheat. Not just whole wheat, 100% whole wheat. Because that ensures that there's the whole part of the grain. Because when it just says whole wheat, it just means it could be white flour in there as well. So you're getting the bran, which is the fiber from the grain, and you're getting the germ, which contains all the nutrients in there. All the nutrients in there. I have leftover dinner at the very bottom of that column. So I'm like, why does she have leftover dinner? Anybody know why? What do we eat mainly at dinner? Protein. Exactly. So it's really important to get that good quality fat and protein again, because it slows your digestion down, which means you will feel satiated or fuller for longer. So if you eat breakfast at 7:30, you're not going to crash at 9. And you're not going to be running for the snack machine. So try and include those in. All right, so some good snacks. Yes?
What time do you suggest that we have dinner?
Well, I think it depends. I don't think there's a particular time that's right for everybody. I was just watching Dr. Oz about 2 months ago, and he recommended around 6 or 6:30. And I think it really depends on your metabolism too. It depends on you. We have all these diet plans and things that are set for the general population, but we're all so different. We're all so different. So for me, because now I have a 6-month-old, I try to eat dinner, I feed her at 6 and then we eat at 6:30. But one thing that I do that helps me is that after dinner is I take a walk. We take a walk. We have a 70-pound Shepherd Husky that makes us get out. Yeah, and so we walk for about 45 minutes. And also, I like to eat a handful of nuts every day. So at the beginning of the snack column, I say go nuts, right? So Dr. Weil, he says if everybody would just eat a handful of nuts every day, we would be a lot more healthy. Now what he didn't say is 2 or 3 handfuls, just 1, because it's full of a lot of calories, full of a lot of fat. But I also eat nuts in the evening because it helps me feel full without eating a lot of carbohydrates. So give that a shot. Give nuts a shot at night. Yes?
I read in Men's Health that you should eat 3 hours before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Okay? So whatever time you normally go to bed, just make sure you consume your dinner 3 hours before bed.
And I think that might be a good general rule. I know one of my girlfriends, she has low blood sugar. So if she doesn't eat something a little bit later in the evening, that it wakes her up at 3 o'clock in the morning because she's hungry. So I think that would probably be a very good general rule. Yes?
Michelle, you talked about sprouts, and I used to love those until I started reading the government warnings, because the state of California says that the growing conditions for sprouts are ideal for the spread of E. coli and other harmful bacteria.
And that would be the sprouts that you put on your salad, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to be careful about that particular sprout, exactly. And I don't know if that's the sprout that they use in the bread.
That's also the sprouts that are grown out commercially.
Uh-huh.
So you can do your own sprouts at home, you don't have to worry about that. But again, so
Yep. Just be mindful about certain issues, foodborne illnesses and things. And actually the CDC on their website does announce those kind of problems that are currently going on. Yes, another question.
No, I was just gonna ask, so Ezekiel bread has the sprouts, but the difference is the sprouts are actually in the bread. They're already mixed and it's frozen. It's frozen bread. You keep it frozen because it's like a living kind of type of organism. So it's very different than when you buy sprouts at the store. And in sprouts, if you don't keep it refrigerated at a certain level, then they grow bacteria on there. So it's very different than bread.
And you bring up another good point. So Ezekiel bread is frozen, and the other reason why is because it doesn't have any additives or preservatives.
Exactly. So literally, if you leave it out for an hour, it will go bad. It will rot, just like that. Yeah.
do you buy it in the frozen section?
Yeah, it's always in the frozen section.
Yeah. I mean, you have more time than an hour. They do have it in stores now where it's in the fresh area of the bakery, but I would immediately put it in the freezer. And I wouldn't put it in the refrigerator because refrigerator will stale your bread
Exactly.
quicker. So I put it in the freezer, and sometimes if the pieces of bread stick to each other, then you can just take a butter knife and just separate it. I wanted to go, did you guys get a chance to taste the smoothie, by the way?
Delicious.
No? Yes? Did you like that? All right, awesome. So
Bottoms up.
That is
Bottoms up.
Almond Joy Smoothie. And I have the recipe on my website. So on the bottom of the spreadsheet, you can get all the recipes that I'm going to use for you today.
That was good, Sam.
I'm glad that you like it. Now we get it now. Yeah. So if you're allergic to nuts, please don't drink it. Because there's actually almond butter in the smoothie. So chocolate soy milk, almond butter, and banana. You can put some flax seeds in there for extra fiber and lignans. So going back to agave real quick, does anybody know what else is made with agave?
Tequila.
Tequila!
Cactus agave?
Yes, it's a type of cactus. So, of course it can't be that bad. There's tequila out of it.
I actually do.
Jicama. Anybody a fan of jicama?
Yes.
Oh, I love jicama. It's crunchy, it's slightly sweet, but what's also nice about it is that kids like it because it's got that crunch to it, and it absorbs the flavors around it. So, if you want a great website, or if you want a great recipe, there's a recipe that's really super high in vitamin C because it has jicama and it has different colors of sweet peppers with with a vinaigrette made with crushed lime juice that is really, really tasty. And did you know that jicama is extremely high in vitamin C?
Yes.
Very high in vitamin C, just like red peppers. So red peppers actually have more vitamin C than orange. Exactly. Soybeans, edamame. Who likes edamame?
Oh, yeah.
Love the stuff. Get it at Japanese restaurants. And did you know that soybeans are a complete protein? So if you're vegetarian, that's very important. And also, did you know quinoa is a complete protein? Yes, quinoa is a protein. One of the snacks I have there is hummus. Anybody like hummus?
Yes.
I love the stuff. But it's kind of pricey, isn't it?
Yep.
You go to a very popular grocery store, I won't name names, you go in there and a little 7-ounce tub of hummus can cost you like $3.50. correct?
Yep.
So I made for you some sun-dried tomato hummus that I really love. If you tried it, I think you're gonna like it. And this is just 2 cans of garbanzo beans, chickpeas. This is 2 pounds of hummus. And that cost me about $2.25 to make. And I used organic garbanzo beans. Yes. So, I'm gonna put this down. I have some whole wheat pita bread. And anybody need a plate? Everybody got plates? There's some extra plates. Did you save room for some treats? Sure.
Yeah.
So I just put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on the top. So we're gonna start.
Wow, Eric's being a server?
Yes.
Question about soy. We hear a lot of great things about soybeans, soy milk. Then I hear that, oh, too much soy milk is not good for you, or, you know, too much of soy. I guess too much of anything is not good for you, but.
Right, like too much of anything is bad, even water. Too much water is actually bad for you.
Hallelujah.
Yes, there's conflicting information about soy.
On your website?
No, I mean, just in general. I mean, there is conflicting information about a lot of things. Conflicting information about eggs and avocados.
I like soy milk. They say rice milk is better, so I wasn't sure.
Well, it depends. It depends. Soy has plant estrogens in them. And so if you have cancer, for example, it may not be a good, if you have breast cancer, for example, it may not be a good idea to incorporate a lot of soy. But if you're healthy, vibrant, I think soy is a good option. Good option. Now, one of the things that I think make a great hummus is tahini.
Great stuff.
Good stuff. And what is tahini? Ground sesame seeds, exactly. And so it's a seed, which means it has very good fat, and it also has a lot of fiber. The other thing is fresh lemon juice. Fresh lemon juice. So don't use the stuff in the bottle. Use the fresh stuff. And a good tip is to get the juices flowing in the lemon is to just roll it on the table. To just start it going. And then when you cut it and then you juice it, what I like to do is use a citrus reamer. You guys familiar with the citrus reamer? You can get one of these at a food store for like $2 or $3. And to keep the seeds out, you can do a couple things. A lot of the chefs on television, they take the cut side and they just squeeze it, right? But that really sometimes doesn't work because you could have a seedy lemon. I have a cholesterol problem. I don't think you should worry about it. But also, I don't think that dietary cholesterol really translates to blood cholesterol.
True.
Because, for one thing, we need cholesterol. Cholesterol is in every part of our cell, all right? And if we eat high fiber foods, like if you eat 100% whole grains, that is going to decrease our cholesterol. Because what it does is it binds to the cholesterol in our blood and it eliminates it. That's what whole grains do. So it's a really good idea to eat those whole grains. So yes, oh, sorry. So the American diet is pretty sad, isn't it? Yeah. Well, actually, literally, it's sad. Standard American diet. Now, we should be eating about 30 grams of fiber a day. 30. Americans eat about 10. So try and incorporate some grains. Now what I'm going to make for you next is a bulgur salad. Bulgur, B-U-L-G-U-R. Familiar with that? Yep. Okay. Cracked wheat. It's a whole grain. Now, the brand that I like is Bob's Red Mill. It's in the bag. And I like that a lot better than the bulk bulgur because I think it's meatier, it has more flavor, and it's a little bit darker. So I cooked up some bulgur, and probably hard for you to see. But, you know, it's kind of the size of rice. And what I like about bulgur, it only takes 15 minutes to cook. It's like white rice. Or not like brown rice, because brown rice takes a long time. So I made for you a homemade dressing. Very, very simple. Just balsamic vinegar, shallots, and garlic, and olive oil. Just going to mix that up. And I'm going to dress it a little bit heavy because what I'd like you to do is use it to top some fresh organic spinach leaves. So I'm going to add some cherry tomatoes that I've halved. So when you have them lengthwise, the seeds don't fall out as quickly. So do you know what I say from lengthwise? Okay. So halve them lengthwise. I'm going to add some fresh green onions. Now this is really what makes this salad awesome. Smoked Gouda cheese.
Ooh.
And what you'll see when you get the salad is that I've cut the Gouda very, very small. And so it's going to pop in your mouth, but you're not going to eat a lot of cheese because cheese can be quite fattening, right? So I'm going to pass around some spinach. If you want to just start that at the back. We'll start that.
Maybe he'll watch it too.
Anybody need a fork? Anybody need a fork? Anybody else? Fork for me. So now you're really going to use this as a dressing. Now if you wanted to just use the bulgur salad all the way as a side dish, you probably wouldn't want to dress it as heavy.
Wow, Eric's being really helpful.
It's a really good marriage with the flavors and color. It's appealing because it has the brown and the red from the tomato, the green from the spinach, and the color from the smoked Gouda. You like that?
Get a picture of that, Michael, because you won't see that often.
Wow, Eric is serving.
Eric is serving.
Eric, you did dress the part today too. You kind of look like a server today.
Eric, you look like management.
Don't throw food, throw money.
Yeah.
As Juan would say.
One of the tips that I'd like to mention about whole grains is brown rice, barley. Some of these whole grains that take a long time to cook, 45 minutes to an hour. Wild rice is one of the grains that I absolutely love. Kick out that pressure cooker. Anybody have a pressure cooker? I use mine constantly.
You should walk with 2 hands.
I eat a lot of brown rice. I never eat white rice anymore. I was raised on white rice, right? I ate white rice 2 times a day. But if you just pick out your pressure cooker and you could make brown rice in 17 minutes. So I turn up the heat, let it come up to pressure, cook for 17 minutes, turn off the heat, and then rinse it. And it's perfect. Quinoa, I'll bring up quinoa again because it is an excellent whole grain. We talked about it before. It's high in protein. As a matter of fact, the Incas used to give it to their warriors to give them energy. Now quinoa, just like bulgur, takes only 15 minutes to cook as well. But what you want to do is when you get that quinoa home, you want to rinse it. Okay? Rinse it and then drain it. Because quinoa has a natural coating on it called saponin. Right? It's a natural pesticide. It keeps the bugs away from it. But if you don't rinse it out and it stays on the grains, it can make your quinoa a little bit bitter. So just give it a quick rinse. Now lentils, I want to talk about lentils. Legumes, love them, so do I. Eat them all the time. Why?
Very healthy.
Healthy, cheap,
Fiber.
versatile, high in both types of fiber. So dietary fiber, which is going to help you with your digestion, right? Everybody needs to eat more fiber. And soluble fiber, which helps you with your cholesterol. So try to eat more legumes. Now the last thing I'm going to demo, I've got so much more to talk about. I usually do this seminar in an hour. I'm just going to go ahead and do the last demo. Was I wanted to make a healthy chicken salad. Now when you think chicken salad, what do you think? Mayonnaise, right? Mayo, high fat. So I made for you a chicken salad that has some mayo and yogurt. Yeah. And it has curry in it, and I'm going to add some extra antioxidants and fiber and monounsaturated fat because I'm going to put in dried blueberries and almonds. Question?
I eat a lot of like non-fat yogurt. Is that like a source? Like, but I heard like if it's non-fat yogurt, it's not anymore good. They ask for color. Is there anything?
Well, I think it's a good source of protein, for sure.
But if I get non-fat,
Yeah, I think it's a good source of protein. I think that, it's a good idea to incorporate yogurt because of the good probiotics in it, right? And you're still going to get that with non-fat yogurt. And I think that full-fat yogurt is healthy as well. I think it just depends on how much fat you're intaking from other foods, too. I eat both. I eat non-fat and I eat full-fat. I love the Greek yogurt. Does everybody like Greek yogurt?
Yeah.
Stuff is awesome. Alright, so I'm going to just put these down in a minute. Check this up.
So usually when foods are non-fat, they tend to replace the flavor of the loss in the fat with sugar.
Yeah, they do. They do replace the sugar. I think that's important to label. They replace it with other things too. So it's really important to read labels. But I drink low-fat milk, right? And I low-fat yogurt too, and full-fat. So I kind of mix it up. My belief is everything in moderation except for a few things, like high fructose corn syrup and refined white sugar and things like that. blueberries. And if you don't like dried blueberries, you can add currants. You can add dried cherries, if you prefer, or even cranberries. Thank you. So what I'm going to serve this with is some sprouted grain bread.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so I want you to try that. Oh, let me get you some spoons. Make yourself a little sandwich. Has anybody ever tried to reduce balsamic vinegar to make a sauce?
Yes.
Isn't that awesome? Oh, I love that. It's really a tasty way to add flavor to, let's say, pork or fish without adding a lot of fat and calories, because sauces can be high in fat and calories. So try and take some balsamic vinegar, reduce it down. You don't want to reduce it too much, because once it starts to get thick on you, when it cools, it's going to get really thick. So it might take one or two times for you to experiment with that. And if you want to add a little bit of sweetness to the balsamic, add a little bit of agave in there. So I make a fantastic salmon in my cast iron pan, because that's one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. Spice it up, and then I'll drizzle over some reduced balsamic vinegar. Do I have any bakers in the audience? So one thing that I like to do when I bake, I'm not a big baker, but I replace a lot of my white flour with whole wheat pastry flour. And that really helps to keep your baked goods nice and fluffy.
You can also replace the oil with applesauce.
Yep, applesauce or prunes. Get that baby through that.
the oil?
Yeah, you can replace the oil with
Replace the
applesauce.
entire oil with applesauce. You just need something to bind the flour together.
Or you can take pureed prunes. That works as well. So a lot of people ask me what my favorite tools are. And the thing that I learned in culinary school, which has a lot to do with safety, but also has to do with efficiency, is I like to put a rubber mat, which you can get anywhere, Walmart, whatever, underneath my cutting board. And so why do you think I do that? Safety, right. Because I'm not going to be fighting with my cutting board to keep it stable. So I mentioned a pressure cooker, I mentioned a cast iron pan, salad spinner.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tools, use it almost every single day as my salad spinner. My microplane. Anybody have a microplane? Okay. So when I made that dressing, I wanted to mince my garlic really small. So this is a perfect tool to do that. So when you get a microplane, if you have a microplane, you just want to put it on your cutting board or something stable when you mince. Because that way you're not going to mince any of your skin off your fingers. Because if you're going like this, right, it's not so good. Okay.
Epidermis.
Yeah, that's right. Epidermis. It's always good for you. And if you're a baker, what is awesome? Fresh ground nutmeg. Very good stuff. And you don't need a lot of it. And so I have in my spice cabinet, I have nutmeg, I have pure or ground whole nutmeg, and I just use this to make some nice ground nutmeg. So I'm going to end it with some quotes for Joss. Health is work more than learning, and that is by Thomas Jefferson. He was one of our founding fathers, a really smart guy, because if you don't have your health, right, you might not have anything, yeah. And you can't share your knowledge with the world. Look at our good friend Steve Jobs, right? He could have shared so much more with the entire world, but his life was cut short. Sugar is a type of bodily fuel, yes, but your body runs about as well on it as a car would. So that goes back to quit filling your body with junk. Some of us treat our cars better than we treat ourselves, right? And there's a couple of Lelanisms I'd like to share with you. That's pretty funny. Well, one of them is pretty funny. If man made it, and I'm pretty sure he's talking about processed food, don't eat it. If it tastes good, spit it out. And the other one by Jack is eat right and you can't go wrong. So, I personally believe that you can't supplement your way to good health. I think supplements are great insurance. It helps make you get your vitamins maybe that you're missing from foods. But really good health starts in the kitchen, and it starts what's on your plate. Thank you for your attention. I very much appreciate it.